Hey everyone, it's China. I just want to say thank you so much for all the love on my last video. A lot of people gave feedback and reached out and shared stories about how they've learned how to cope with the stages of grief. And to those people who shared, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing. I know that takes a level of courage that I didn't have for a long time, and so I just want to say thank you. In this video, I want to talk about being a friend and a support system to someone who's had a loved one pass away. For all of my videos, and especially this one, as a disclaimer, I just want to say that all of my advice is from my personal experience, and you may disagree, but I am open to getting feedback and learning how other people have been a support system to their friends. So one reason I want to talk about this is because I think there's kind of two different categories of a loved one who might pass away. This might not be the right way to categorize or say this, but I think on one hand you have people who you might expect to grow old with, and then on another hand maybe people who you would kind of know that they would go before you. The way that I kind of thought about this is because my grandma on my dad's side actually passed away a week before Zoe did. And those two experiences were very different for me. And the way that I processed the grief from those experiences were also very different. So after those two experiences, a lot of people would reach out, and some people would say, I know how you feel with Zoe passing away because my grandparent passed away and we were super close, and etc, etc. And while now I'm able to look back on that and really appreciate the support of people contacting me and trying to be there for me, at the time when I was 15, that was really frustrating because I had lost my grandma and Zoe, and I knew that both of those feelings were just so different. And so that's why I wanted to make this video, is because I think that depending on the loved one that passed away, there's different ways that someone can be supportive. But before I talk about the differences, I think my first lesson learned, just looking back on everything, is that I can't underestimate the pain that someone goes through whenever they've lost a loved one. It's hard. It's a hard thing to go through either way, and I don't know the relationship that that person had with their loved one, so I can't say that one is more or less painful. But with that being said, I think the second lesson that I learned was just how to be sensitive to the differences in these relationships. Even though I lost Zoe, who was in that first category, I can't automatically try to relate to someone who's lost someone else who they expected to grow old with, such as like a friend or a parent or a spouse. A reason that I thought it would be really important to talk about this as well is because one of my really close friends lost one of her parents whenever she was really young. So she was younger than I was when I lost Zoe, so she's a bit farther ahead in the grieving process, and also it was a different type of relationship that she had with her loved one. But anytime that we would talk about our experiences, I noticed that she would never try to relate to what I was saying. She would just kind of listen and take it in and then share her side and what she's been through, but she would never try to make comparisons or even contrast. It was just always sharing and just saying how we feel. So now I want to talk about just two do's and don'ts that I have learned from my experiences and from my friend that I would recommend using whenever you're talking to someone who's lost a loved one, no matter which category they're in. So the first one is, I would probably not say, I know how you feel. I would recommend saying, anytime you're going into a conversation to talk about losing someone, I would say, do you just want to vent this time, or do you actually want advice? The second don't would be not to say it gets better with time, because the grieving process isn't finite and there isn't a time when it's going to be completely over and you're going to feel completely better. So one thing that my friend told me that has been an awesome help to just keep in the back of my mind whenever I'm going through it is that it doesn't get better, but it gets different, and you learn ways how to cope with things, and things just change over time. So the psych concepts that I want to tie this all together with are from Psychology Today. The first is from a report published by Jeffrey Hall in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, and the quote is just, how do you make or maintain friends? You have to put in the time. And I think that whenever you've had a friend who's lost a loved one, no matter which category they're in, that time is going to be even more. And the other quote that I want to tie it together with is from the article called Friendship, The Laws of Attraction. And the quote says, "The conventional wisdom is that we choose friends because of who they are, but it turns out we actually love them because of the way they support who we are." And you could take this in so many different ways. But for this video, I want to know, how are you a friend and how are you a support system to someone who's lost a loved one? And what do you do? What do you say? And how are you there for them? So as always, feel free to text me, call me, reach out, and let me know what you think.